Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's moment. Yes, I say good morning even though I don't know what time you are actually going to be watching this. I think that the word morning simply means the moment that you wake up. And I pray that during the next couple minutes that we spend together, that God wakes us up in a significant way that we need. Man, what an important week for us as a country. Starting off on Monday with Martin Luther King Jr. Day. When I started seminary, up to that point, I probably had read more about Dr. King than I read his actual words, his actual thoughts, his actual pen. So that started a tradition for me that on this week, I read this book that I love. It's called Strength to Love, and it is a compilation of some of his sermons. I love this book. And I think it is compounded, the importance of it is compounded with the intersection not only of MLK Day, but of the inauguration of another American president. And as you know, Martin Luther King did so much for recalibrating what it means to be a follower of Christ and also what it means to be an American. And so for this morning's moment, I thought that I would just invite you into this space of what I'm doing as a spiritual practice of reading these words as we enter into a brand new chapter, a new morning as a country. Jesus' prayer on the cross is an expression of Jesus' awareness of man's intellectual and spiritual blindness. They know not what they do, Jesus said. Blindness was their trouble. Enlightenment was their need. We must recognize that Jesus was nailed to the cross not simply by sin, but also by blindness. The men who cried, "Crucify him," were not necessarily bad men, but rather blind men. The jeering mob that lined the roadside that led to Calvary was composed not of evil people, but of blind people. They knew not what they did. What a tragedy. Saul was not an evil-intentioned man when he persecuted Christians. He was a sincere, conscientious devotee of the Israel faith. He thought what he was doing was right. He persecuted Christians not because he was devoid of integrity, but because he was devoid of enlightenment. Our world is threatened by the grim prospects of atomic annihilation because there are still too many who know not what they do. This tragic blindness is also found in racial segregation, the not too distant cousin of slavery. But if we are to call ourselves Christians, we had better avoid intellectual and moral blindness. Throughout the New Testament, we are reminded of the need for enlightenment. We are commanded to love God not only with our hearts and our souls, but also our minds. They know not what they do, Jesus says. Blindness was their besetting trouble, and the crux of the matter lies here. That unlike physical blindness that is usually inflicted upon individuals as a result of natural forces beyond their control, intellectual and moral blindness is a dilemma that man inflicts upon himself by his tragic misuse of freedom and his failure to use his mind to the fullest capacity. And one day we will learn that the heart can never be totally right if the head is totally wrong. Only through the bringing together of the head and the heart, intelligence and goodness, shall man rise to its fullness of his true nature. May God enlighten us today. Amen.